Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Join me this afternoon. You'll recognize them. It's Lara and Michelle. You see, I've been working on your name.
You are saying it beautifully. I meant to congratulate you on that.
Every day when I drive into work, I'm practicing.
Oh boy, that's a little weird, but okay.
Because these guys here will give me such a hard time. So, but thank you for being back on the show. Still glad to have you here in Fitchburg. Today we're talking about kids at home during the summer. More screen time can lead to more identity theft or challenges, if you will. So what's the overall message that the state's trying to put out there?
Well, so we want to make sure that kids are protected, and with that, they need that education as to what is considered really safe screen activity, and that falls to the parents, guardians, and extended family, really, to make sure that they, as they are growing and developing and have increased screen time, understand the risks that are in front of them when they're on the internet. And the place that we're at with consumer protection is really that financial fraud piece and the identity theft. We don't get into all the other issues. That's usually local law enforcement that will cover those other types of safety matters for children. So the first thing that can be done in the education area is for the parents and the guardians, making sure that they take control of devices and search engines, using the tools that are available to them, really setting those parental controls. So within your internet browser, you can establish parental controls to be sure that the only returns that one will receive on a search are child-appropriate, age-appropriate returns, and that way they won't end up with sites that they shouldn't be viewing and looking at. The next thing is to make sure that the devices have appropriate parental controls, and we're used to this as it related to different TV channels and making sure that that was set, but you can do that within your computer, within your smartphone, within your tablet, to be sure that you're setting those passwords. So maybe you designate which apps they can get into or which device that they can use and how that will work and when. And then the third area is within the app itself. So making sure that once you've approved the download and that the child's able to be in that application, that they can't make in-app purchases. And that's one area that we've certainly seen with consumer protection where children were buying tokens or extra clothing for the toys that were on the app. And whatever way that the game unfolded itself, there would be those enhancements that could be purchased. And if the device was set up to automatically charge a credit card or the phone company, depending upon which way that was established, parents would be surprised at the end of the month when the bill came. So they can certainly knock off those in-app purchases by just restricting that from happening.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all the parent control.
It's like simple things, but then kids like to explore, right? They like to get into things, and they don't know. They're kids. They're not adults, so they don't know what technically they're purchasing sometimes.
Exactly, and that's part of it. So kids are curious and investigative in nature, and so that's the next stage of this, the education of the kids and making sure that they understand malicious software. And by clicking a link, you can actually be loading things onto the computer that will be unsafe. By going to a particular website and filling out a survey because you want to get whatever's been offered to them, they'll be handing over information. Receiving an email that might look legitimate. Are they going to have the skill set to decipher good emails versus bad emails? So do you ever just open an email when there's only a link? Do you click on it? So those phishing scheme issues. So all of those need to be talked about, again, in phases based on what you permit them to access, and then as they grow on the internet are things that those conversations need to be focused about. And one of the best ways that's out there to help this conversation is the FBI has set up a website. And it's really a game, if you will, and it's Safe Online Surfing. So sos.fbi.gov. And this is a game that both parents and children can play. They can play it independently of each other so they know the lessons that are being learned. But cool. It's focused for 3rd grade to 8th grade levels. It's in both English and Spanish, so it's very available to the public that way. And one fun way I've been thinking about it to enhance it further is if your child is learning Spanish, go ahead, have them take it in English, and then try out their skills.
That's
practice
idea.
that
is
in
a really
Spanish.
good idea.
I like it.
Yeah,
wow.
because lessons are repeated. You need that 2, 3, 4 time exposure, so why not find different ways to make sure that they're exposed? But these are the online lessons we've been talking about, the malware, the downloading, the phishing schemes, the handing out information and identity theft. So they've tried to find a fun way for kids to learn about this.
Yeah, and identity theft affects us all in some way or another, and this is kind of one of those loopholes that can be given away by your kids real easily. You do talk about in the release that you put out about the importance of talking about privacy itself with kids, and what materials do you guys have available through DATCP, besides using the website, the fun game, I mean, for adults even too.
Right. We have a number of fact sheets on identity theft. If you're going to dispose of your computer, what you need to think of. If you've become a victim, what you need to do to prevent. We have a simple kind of the phases and stages, a nice trifold. But all of those are on our website at datcp.wi.gov, or you can call our toll-free number 1-800-422-7128 and have them sent out to you. But again, they're just based on the category you want. And, you know, it's important to remind parents that children's identity theft really goes underreported. And if that happens, it can go on for years without anyone detecting it, because you don't usually need your first credit card or your first loan until you're 16, 18, 21. So it can take a while. You apply for your first job, maybe 15, 16, and so that your Social Security number will be used there. And that's when things can start to trigger if you're not monitoring and checking it. So parents, along the lines of identity theft prevention, can put a security freeze in place on both the child's identity information at the credit reporting agency and their own, if they haven't already. And that's something that can be done for free, and we have all that information on our website as well.
Yeah, very, very informal, good stuff to know, and I think just having that conversation will lead to a long term. I mean, this is something that will be, you know, that they can use throughout their whole life. So, and a good reminder for parents too. I think this is a good reminder of let's take a step back and review our own policies. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Lara has a number of like real life scenarios, app situations that we've been gathering to really.
I was going to ask if the states collected any of this, but here we go.
Unfortunately, this is some of the grimmer stuff that you see on the internet that we really want to alert parents to. There are a couple dating apps out there that are called Fast Meet, Meet 24, and Meet for You, and these dating apps are platforms that allow kids to get online and create an identity, and allows adults looking for them, which is pretty horrifying.
Right.
And the other thing that these do, if that's not scary enough, is that they actually have a location facilitator, so the adult can actually find the location of the child. Now, the Apple and Google Play rather are aware of this and have tried to take these apps off of their app stores so kids can't download them anymore. But parents should be aware of this and make sure these apps are not on their kids' phones. And they should also file a complaint if they do see that. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, enforces what's called the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which is COPA. And that prohibits apps like this from soliciting children under 13 and getting their information online in an app. And so these dating apps are violating the law by allowing children to do this. So we want to make sure parents are aware that they're out there and aware that this is happening. And again, these are called Fast Meet, Meet 24, and Meet for You. And then another issue that we wanted to just sort of alert you to is that WhatsApp has had a significant data breach, or a significant breach. And WhatsApp, you might be familiar with it. It's the common app that people use to talk to people internationally because it's free. And so they are aware of this, and they've offered a patch to 1.5 billion users, and it seems to have addressed the issue. But folks should know that there was a compromise on WhatsApp, and if they do use WhatsApp, a lot of times WhatsApp works with Facebook or other applications. They should change their password to WhatsApp, and they should also change their password to Facebook just to make sure, even though this patch has been pushed out by WhatsApp.
You had mentioned about reporting this. What steps would, if whether it is the WhatsApp or looking back at those dating websites or whatever. But what would you recommend if a parent thinks that somebody's watching you or you've been exposed to identity theft? What would be the first step to take?
If you think you've been exposed to identity theft, you can reach out to Consumer Protection, and we have a packet of information to help you do that evaluation. The first step is to check your credit report to see if there's been any suspicious activity or anything inconsistent. If it's known you've seen unauthorized charges on your credit card, or maybe your bank account information is out of whack and you've talked to the bank and it looks like it was authorized, but it's a third party having done some activity, you should file a police report right away, because that police report will help determine whether or not they're going to investigate, but it allows a consumer access to different information that Consumer Protection, through filing a complaint, is going to be able to access to see what we can do and hopefully reverse charges that have been established by this identity thief.
Yikes. There's just too much of this stuff. Yikes. You guys have to live with this every day, but appreciate you getting the info out there. Pretty important stuff as it comes to summer. One more time for filing complaint or for all the resources, the great resources you guys have, where can we go?
Yeah, go to datcp.wi.gov or 1-800-422-7128, and that's Monday through Friday, 7:45 to 4:30, where we have staff available.
I've mentioned it before. You can fill out a report. It's super easy. And again, the staff there really do a great job of getting back to you and letting you know the status, which I think is really nice. So thank you so much again for the time. I appreciate it. And we'll be back yet again a little bit later this month with some more tips.
Sounds great.
Work together. Can't tell it all. All right, we will take a quick break. You are watching Talking Fitchburg.